So here's the thing. I've spent the last year and a half working on my very long, very personal video essay project, No One Wants to Fall to Heaven. Don't get me wrong, I'm proud of the work that I've done, and you should definitely check out the series if you haven't, by the way. But the one thing I regret from working on this project is that it stopped me from making the more organic, regular commentary videos I used to make. I had so many video ideas I scrapped because I wanted to finish this project before I started anything, and these subjects would no longer be relevant. I had a sequel to my Andrew Tate video planned. I had a video ranting about Nintendo's non-consumer friendly practices, and with the way Nintendo be moving, I'm sure I'll take that out of the vault at someday. I had a For All the Dogs review ready and scripted, but again, just decided to scrap it. But the one major topic that I regret not being able to cover has been this year's insane run of rap beefs. It has truly been an awesome 6 months to be a music fan. All the fantastic music that's been coming out, these viral concerts and festivals, and certain artists coming out of their caves to lie about dropping music for the 100th time, have all been immensely entertaining. But things really started heating up on March 22nd, 2024, when Metro Boomin and Future dropped the first part of their collab album duology, We Don't Trust You, with its sister project We Still Don't Trust You dropping a month later. No one knew how truly insane things were about to get from here. I remember I uploaded a commentary video on Codeine Crazy the day that We Don't Trust You came out, and I'm truly baffled at how much things have escalated since then. The albums themselves were very entertaining, giving us some newer sounds from Future, finally releasing highly anticipated songs like Cinderella, a song that was originally meant to be on Travis Scott's Utopia, and what I believe is somewhat the most underrated aspect, these albums getting The Weeknd to come out of hiding. If you aren't aware, The Weeknd is preparing to drop his last album as The Weeknd, ending his astonishing musical legacy and ending the trilogy that started with After Hours, dubbed by fans as the Divine Trilogy. And in the midst of that, it was announced that he would be doing his last few feature runs as The Weeknd. His last features at that time would have been on Travis Scott's Utopia on the songs K-Pop and Circus Maximus, and on P. Diddy's last album, the Love album, Off the Grid. Those are said to be the last times we'd hear new Weeknd music until this album drops. But somehow, I guess Metro and Future convinced him to join along on this project, with almost all of his features dissing Drake, because they also have a bit of a past. I feel like Future told The Weeknd's like, it's a shame you can't do a features. We're dissing Drake all over the album. And The Weeknd was like, fuck it, never mind. I'm in. Get me in the studio. Let's go. Maybe it was that and a mix of realizing that his feature run would end being on a Diddy album. But either way, it's been insane. But the biggest thing that this album has spawned, that I'm sure you've heard of at this point, has been the rap beef between the proclaimed Big Three: Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and J. Cole. Now, I'm not here to give you a full, detailed recap of what's been going on, as there have been many videos that have beat me to the punch here, but here is a very abridged breakdown on how this over decade-long beef has truly started. Now, Kendrick and Drake secretly have been beefing for years. They started off as friends, Drake giving Kendrick an appearance on his sophomore album Take Care for the cult classic Buried Alive interlude, and Drake would be featured on Kendrick's major label debut Good Kid, Mad City, on another unforgettable classic, Poetic Justice. But in 2013, on the song Control by Big Sean, Kendrick dropped a legendary verse where he states that he's coming for the top of the rap game and is coming after all of his friends and contemporaries, Drake being one of them. And in true Drake fashion, he took that personally. So since then, Drake and Kendrick have been throwing little shots at each other in their music for the past decade, and their beef became way more of a public spectacle when Like That dropped. After Kendrick took playful shots at both Drake and Cole on his Like That verse, they both responded with their respective diss tracks. Drake's Push-Ups, a well-received and pretty decent song, and J. Cole's 7-Minute Drill, a song so hated that J. Cole removed it off DSPs within a week and apologized for it, saying it was one of the corniest things he's ever done. And while J. Cole was being clowned for dropping out of this beef, Kendrick and Drake were still going strong at each other, with Drake dropping the infamous tailor-made freestyle a couple days later in a way to coerce Kendrick into a quicker response. And 11 days after tailor-made freestyle, we would get Euphoria. And this week would go on to be one of the craziest weeks in music history. After Euphoria dropped, Kendrick dropped 616 in LA, his way of coercing Drake into a response. Drake would drop a parody of Buried Alive on his Instagram as a troll, setting the stage for his main response, and in his eyes, his red button, the 7-minute long Family Matters. But just 30 minutes later, Kendrick would drop his response, Meet the Grams. Up until this point, things were not as intense. Drake was throwing the hip-hop equivalent of playground insults at Kendrick. But Kendrick came in really hot on Euphoria, calling Drake a bad father and a womanizer, among other claims. So on Family Matters, Drake would drop lines hinting that not only did Kendrick's romantic partner Whitney Halford cheat on him with Kendrick's own friend and co-owner of his creative agency, PG Lang, Dave Free, but also that Kendrick put his hands on Whitney at some point and used the crisis management team to cover that up. Now, for those first 30 minutes after Family Matters dropped, all eyes were obviously on Kendrick to respond to such damning allegations. It did look bad for Kendrick because those are very insane claims to make. But then, once more, 30 minutes later, we would get Meet the Grams. Over this incredibly dark and just straight up evil sounding beat from producer legend The Alchemist, Kendrick strips away the funny and witty, playful bars from his previous two songs and just lays into him, making a 6-minute song warning Drake's family members that he is not who he seems. He starts off the song addressing Drake's son Adonis, apologizing to him for Drake being a previously very public deadbeat dad, then telling Drake's mother and father that they made a mistake when making him, and that he is a bad person who is allegedly essayed women, keeps predators around him, and is hiding many secrets about who he really is. Then addressing an 11-year-old daughter that Drake allegedly abandoned for years, before finally addressing Drake directly, calling him a pathological liar, a drug addict, predator, telling Drake that it's no longer just a rap battle, it's a long life battle Drake has to fight with himself. This was an incredibly dark song that obviously shocked the entire rap community and pop culture at large. But within another 24 hours, Kendrick drops what is basically his victory lap, Not Like Us. Produced by DJ Mustard, it's a much more upbeat song where Kendrick just once again calls Drake and his OVO crew a bunch of predators and weirdos. And also, towards the end, calls Drake a colonizer for appropriating Black American culture in his music to up his gangster persona. Friendly reminder, he grew up lower middle class in Toronto, Canada. Just putting that out there. The day afterward, Drake dropped his response to Meet the Grams and Not Like Us, The Heart Part 6, a play on Kendrick's own song series of the same name. But that song ended up being so poorly received that it basically confirmed what everyone had been thinking at that point. Kendrick won. Like I said, that was a heavily abridged retelling. There's so many things that I did not get the time to cover, like how in the Family Matters music video, the car that's being destroyed is a lookalike of the same car featured on the cover for Good Kid, Mad City. Or how, because of the We Don't Trust You albums, Drake was not just fighting Kendrick in his diss tracks. He was responding to things from A$AP Rocky, Future of Course, Rick Ross, among other people. But that's the gist of what's been going on. It's been insane. But here's why I wanted to make this video. If there's one thing that this beef has shown us, it's that a good and memorable diss track can be devastating. Not Like Us has become one of the best performing songs this year, beating out a first-day streaming record held by Drake, and ironically, it went platinum in a week and is already eligible for 2 times platinum after only being out for a couple of months. And what truly reaffirmed this is what happened at Kendrick's pop-out show in Inglewood, California, and the new Not Like Us music video. Kendrick organized the show, getting many prominent West Coast figures and musicians to perform some of their hits, with acts like Tyler the Creator, YG, Steve Lacy, Ty Dolla $ign, and more, all in attendance, accompanied by DJ sets hosted by DJ Head and Mustard. All of it led to Kendrick's set, where he starts off with Euphoria, proceeding to go through some of his hits, and then brought out his old Top Dog Entertainment collaborators like Absol, J-Rock, and Schoolboy Q, and formed their long-forgotten hip-hop group Black Hippie, a group that officially disbanded after Kendrick left TDE in 2022, following the release of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. He even brought out Dr. Dre to perform Still DRE and California Love. And after all of that, right before Dr. Dre leaves the stage, he helps Kendrick introduce the final song of the night, Not Like Us. And Kendrick would perform that song 5 times back to back, with the last 2 times bringing out all the performers and other West Coast figures on stage like Russell Westbrook to come on up and dance along as the concert ended. Just for Kendrick to formally end the concert by playing the song for the 6th time, walking off stage with everyone else. Now look, the main point of the show was not just to be the Fuck Drake Festival, right? It was an incredibly well executed concert that celebrates the contributions that these Black West Coast musicians have made to music and culture. Seeing people from different neighborhoods and gang affiliations all come on the very same stage and be able to coexist peacefully without any issues and celebrate each other despite their differences will go down as a legendary music moment. That is without question. But with all that in perspective, you see how bad this makes Drake look. Not only did Kendrick perform that song 5 times in a row, but had an entire crowd of people, some of the biggest West Coast figures on stage, Bloods and Crips, all on the same stage, and millions of people at home, all united, dancing and singing along to this song, calling Drake a Obviously, it made him look bad and helped prove Drake wrong in a lot of areas and things that he criticized Kendrick for in his diss tracks. And when it comes to the music video, there are so many subtle yet hard-hitting disses pointed at Drake. Like how in that one scene he's beating up an Oyo or OVO owl pinata, or that scene where he locks an owl in a cage, in a way calling Drake his bitch and telling him to stay in his place. And the best one in my opinion, that 14-second section of the video where Kendrick dances to the songs with his 2 kids and his partner Whitney, not only disputing the idea that Kendrick has a broken family, but this incredibly wholesome scene where we get to see this happy family of 4 just dance on Drake's grave. And the video is all directed by Kendrick and Dave Free. But to bring it back to our overarching topic, the success of Not Like Us and this whole beef has shown us all, rap fan or not, that a good and memorable diss track can be devastating and can forever ruin or alter an artist's career or reputation. Despite Drake's responses like Push-Ups and Family Matters being pretty good songs in my opinion, when referencing this beef in the future, people are mainly only going to mention songs like Not Like Us and Euphoria. And there's a lesson in that. For example, when you think about Tupac and Biggie's beef, for most people, the first song to come to mind isn't Who Shot Ya, it's Hit 'Em Up. And that's why today, I'm going to discuss a huge beef that has pretty much become forgotten in some cases, just to show you how devastating it can be. And for this video, I'm going to be discussing one of the just most diabolical, most vicious, most hard-hitting beefs of all time. Taylor Swift and Katy Perry. Now wait, I know the majority of my viewer base is getting ready to click off on other videos, and please give me a second, please. I promise the video is worth it. The reason why I want to talk about this is because it's like, I feel like people who are not within like pop culture that much don't understand how big this shit was when it happened. This was Drake versus Pusha T for white women. That's how serious it was taken. But it started for much pettier reasons. Now, to set the stage, let's take a trip back to the early 2000s. When it comes to the pop music scene around that time, there was one hitmaker that would come to truly stand out above the rest. And that, of course, was Katy Perry. Her run from 2008 to 2015 was unforgettable. After dropping her self-titled debut gospel album under her legal name, Katy Hudson, in March of 2001, she would later abandon gospel music and switch to pop rock music in 2005, leading to what would have been her first album under the name Katy Perry, titled A Katy Perry. I don't know how you say that. A Katy Perry, A Katy, I don't know. But as that album would be later renamed to Fingerprints and was set for a release date of summer 2007, it was unfortunately scrapped due to Katy facing some label issues. And for parts of the album I've heard, probably for the best. It was just a mid-2000s rock album, but Katy Perry. Not like the worst music I've ever heard, but like nothing truly special. But after that series of unfortunate events, Katy would fortunately get a deal with Capitol Records in 2007, and for the next year would work extensively on her newest project with legendary songwriters and producers Max Martin, Benny Blanco, and yes, that Betty Blanco, and unfortunately, Supreme Weirdo and alleged essayist, if you catch my drift, Dr. Luke. They would assist her to make her proper debut pop album under the name Katy Perry, One of the Boys. Things would only get bigger for her from there. That album already featured hits like Hot and Cold and I Kissed a Girl, but 2010's Teenage Dream would cement her as an icon in pop music. With Dr. Luke, Max Martin, and Benny Blanco back on her side, she would release her 12-track album filled with unforgettable classics, like the title track Teenage Dream, Last Friday Night, California Girls with Snoop Dogg, and Firework. And those were just the first 4 tracks. And its expanded edition would also include classics like the E.T. remix with Kanye West, Wide Awake, a song about her divorce from actor Russell Brand, definitely for the best, that nigga's a weirdo, and the song Part of Me, which the music video is basically just a United States military propaganda, but all I'm gonna say is this: you can try all you want, I'm still dodging the draft. I'm not fighting for this country. She would also go on a very successful tour in 2011 to support this album. In 2013 would be no different. with her album Prism featuring hits like Roar and Dark Horse with Juicy J. And, a small side tangent, would also feature the song Legendary Lovers, a song that would go on to be sampled for Chief Keef's Save Me, produced by Lex Luger. Following Katy and Keef's very, very, very unforgettable Twitter squabble. Squabble. I'm sorry, Mr. Keef. So yeah, at this point, Katy was becoming an established goat in pop music, and things just started to get better and better for her. But this is where Miss Swift starts to come in the picture. While Katy battled label issues in 2005, Taylor was getting signed. After catching the eye of founder of Big Machine Records, Scott Borchetta, a label executive that formerly worked for DreamWorks Records and Universal Music Group's country music subsidiary UMG Nashville, she would be the first signee to this very new independent country label, with Taylor Swift's dad buying a 3% stake in the company. Yeah, Taylor really got out the mud, Rags to riches, project fishes, to live in luxury, now we live in luxury. Now, with pre-existing relationships with other country music writers and a brand new record deal that would bring forth no issues or quarrels in the future at all, Taylor would get to work on her 2006 debut self-titled album. The album would be released in October 2006, assisted by the album's lead single and Taylor Swift's first hit, Tim McGraw, named after Tim McGraw, of course. Her first album would be received positively by critics, even getting a nomination for Album of the Year and a win for Best New Artist at the 2008 Academy of Country Music Awards, among other accolades. And that is another important thing to mention. Before Taylor became the pop sensation she's known as now, she was a country singer. Her first 3 albums were filled up with these country pop songs. So similarly to Katy, Taylor was releasing hit after hit and was becoming a force to be reckoned with in country music. Going on to release her second album, Fearless, which featured hits like Love Story and You Belong With Me. The album got 2 Grammy Awards for Best Country Album and Album of the Year. Who else was nominated for Album of the Year that year? Oh yeah, I Am Sasha Fierce by Beyonce and The Fame by Lady Gaga, 2 of the best 2000s pop albums. That's not annoying to read at all. Taylor would continue to get love for this album, even culminating in her winning Best Female Video at the MTV Music Awards for the music video for You Belong With Me. A super wholesome moment where Taylor just got to peacefully accept her award and nothing happened that forever changed the career of a certain rapper hailing from Chicago. Look, I said this in the Kanye video, but and I'll never get another chance to say this, so I'm gonna say it now. Yeezy stans and Swifties have this very large issue with relentless dick riding, and it annoys the fuck out of me. It's past the point of LeBron fans, where it is clearly played up as a bit. It's genuinely really annoying. And it astonishes me that these fan bases have almost a nonsensical beef in my eyes. Both Yeezy stans and Swifties are somewhat racist white teenagers who are so blinded by their love of their fave that they can't see their favorite artist take legitimate criticisms for their actions or even acknowledge that the other person does make pretty good music. You gotta let this go. You gotta let this go. Yes, what Kanye did, very rude. I'm not gonna lie and say it isn't. But we got Twisted Fantasy, T-Lop, and 1989 out of this. So let's just chalk it up. Those are 3 major W's. Let's just chalk this up as a win. And this incident will be relevant for later. But anyway, like I said, Taylor was going on an unforgettable win streak. With her 2010 album, Speak Now, she'd even go on tour following its success. And this is where things start to change for her. With Taylor's ever-growing popularity, she would go on to make the genre change that has forever altered her career. 2 years after Speak Now, she would release 2012's Red, her first proper pop album. Now, something I'm willing to give Taylor a lot of credit for is the fact that Speak Now and Fearless were written entirely by her, and to this day still has heavy input in production and writing of her own music, and has even gone on to help write music for other people. She assisted DJ/musician and, at the time, boyfriend, Calvin Harris to write the mega hit This Is What You Came For Rihanna. Hell, even I can admit this, Ye, a rapper, barely writes some of his own music anymore. He has a bunch of talented people making him reference tracks, but we still end up with, lyrical genius classics like Now I'm Bill Cosby Bitch. But I also think that after seeing some lyrics from the Tortured Poets Department, it's not bad to get a bit of help, maybe get Imogen Heap to come back or something. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. So for Red, she brought in the big guns, bringing on Max Martin and another pop producer legend, Shellback, to help with some of the production and writing, assisting in the creation of some of her biggest hits at the time, like 22, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, and I Knew You Were Trouble. Both Katy and Taylor became staples in 2010's pop music and started getting into the same spaces, them even being friends at a certain point. Katy was even a surprise guest on one of the stops during the Fearless Tour in 2010, and all of that sets the stage. But this is how their beef started in the public. In September of 2014, almost out of nowhere, Taylor was gearing up to release her album 1989, and she was featured on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. In this in-depth interview, she mentions how one of the upcoming songs from her album was about an unnamed woman in the music industry. She says that this mystery woman was super shady towards her and felt like she never liked Taylor in the first place, going on to say that this artist did something so horrible to her that it turned their little Cold War frenemy situation into a full-on feud, labeling her in the article as her enemy. And this evil, horrific, horrible thing was she tried taking 3 background dancers from Taylor's world tour. Like I said, this beef is mad fucking petty. As I mentioned before, Katy and Taylor were both on tour in 2011 for their respective albums. Both tours started in February 2011, while Katy's ended in January 2012, and Taylor's ended in March 2012. So it is safe to assume that it is around this time that this alleged dancer swap happened. We wouldn't learn Katy's perspective until years later, but from her side, these dancers asked to come on Katy's tour, and what Katy would tell the dancers is to put in a 30-day contingency plan in their contracts with Taylor and her team so that if they want to hop on Katy's tour, they can come along. And I mean, this is years past. It's obviously too late to say anything, but like, if I were Taylor, I'd be more mad at the dancers than Katy, but I digress. Whatever. The day after that article came out, Katy put out a very cryptic tweet saying, "Watch out for the Regina George in sheep's clothing," a reference to the movie Mean Girls, and that was the catalyst for their beef. Now, 1989 would start a new era for Taylor. Despite Red being her first pop album, 1989 is what made people start taking this transition seriously, giving her her 4th consecutive #1 hit album and some of the biggest pop songs of the 2010s in general, with Blank Space, Shake It Off, and of course, Bad Blood. In the following year, we would also get the Bad Blood remix with, funnily enough, Kendrick Lamar, an appearance that some believe to have some Drake subliminals, though the verses are kind of vague, and we'll come back to that. But yeah, that obviously revitalized the song's popularity, getting its now iconic music video. For the next 2 years after Bad Blood, no songs would come from either of them addressing this issue. For these 2 years, Katy and Taylor, mostly Katy, would throw shady comments towards each other in interviews, on Twitter, and just generally everywhere on social media. But things wouldn't start getting super spicy until October 2016, and this is where we take a bit of a detour to bring back a surprisingly relevant figure here. Now, as we all know, Kanye and Taylor Swift's relationship is rocky, to say the very least. After the VMAs incident, Kanye did apologize to Taylor, and for the first half of the 2010s, they were seemingly cool with each other. Both Kanye, Taylor, and Kim Kardashian were all on a friendly basis, it seems. Taylor even trolling Kanye a bit when giving him a Vanguard Award in 2015, repeating the whole "I'ma let you finish" thing. And Taylor would accompany Kim and Kanye at the Brit Awards, where Kanye would debut his single All Day. And when you watch the performance of that song, Taylor can be seen with Kim dancing to the song. Or whatever those moves were. I'm gonna sound like a dick. I'm not even a good dancer myself. I'm just saying, like, that it's just not the kind. If you've heard All Day, it's not exactly the kind of song that you bust a move to. It's a bit intense. Normally, I'd even be playing some of these songs, but I'm monetized now, and I gotta act right. I like money. But things would take a turn in 2016. On February 9th, as I've talked about before, he would debut the original version of his latest album, The Life of Pablo. This Madison Square Garden show would go on to be not just one of the biggest moments in rap, but in pop culture in general. With the Kardashians in attendance, this filled, sold-out stadium, and this very abstract group of models just standing still, it was an unforgettable moment, that's for sure. But one of the biggest and most controversial moments of that night was obviously the debut of Famous, with that song featuring the infamous "I Made That Bitch Famous" line. Now, Kanye wholeheartedly defended that song, saying that Calling her a bitch was not like in a way to demean her and meant it as a term of endearment, but you know, the usage of the word bitch is obviously a touchy subject as it is used to demean women, and some people do seem to use it as a term of endearment when referring to their partners, like Cardi B and Offset, for example.
Swapping out calls on my bitch. I bought her the Lambo, she bought me the rave.
That's me.
And among women and queer people, it is used as like a genuine term of endearment, but obviously, Taylor did not see it that way. She believed it was a misogynistic statement to make, claiming that the only reason she has her success is because of the VMAs incident. 4 days after that song debuted, she would win a Grammy for 1989 for Album of the Year over To Pimp a Butterfly. God, good God, that still hurts. Oh, that's never gonna stop hurting. Oh my, In her speech, she's made this very direct but indirect message saying that you should not let people take credit for your success. A very obvious shot at Kanye. And the drama between the two would continue to boil over, as Kanye said that Taylor gave him permission to use that line in the song and doesn't understand why she's mad. And Kim would corroborate, sharing a video of this alleged conversation.
And Taylor might still have sex.
Go with whatever line you think is better. It's obviously very tongue-in-cheek either way. And I really appreciate you telling me about it. That's really nice.
Oh, yeah. I thought I just had a responsibility to you as a friend.
It's only until March of 2020 where we would find out the true story behind this video, when this full conversation was leaked to the public. In the section of the phone call that we got, yeah, he asked for permission to use the line, but it was just for the Taylor Swift owes me sex line. It wasn't for the I made that bitch famous thing. At that point in the song's development, it either wasn't a part of it or he didn't tell her that it was a part of it. And Taylor maintained that, yeah, I gave permission not to be called a bitch though. But because Kim shared an abridged version of that video call, we only had that to go off of for the next 4 years. And Ye stans and Kardashians were on her ass, calling Taylor a snake, and the unfortunate aftermath making her kind of go off the grid, pun intended, for the next year, from March 2016 to August 2017. Like I told y'all, this white woman beef it gets serious. Now, where does Katy come back into the picture? During their Cold War of subliminal shots and tweets towards each other, on her birthday in October 2016, she would attend a show during the St. Pablo tour. Lucky woman, she really doesn't know how bad things were gonna get from here. Oh boy. And during the concert, she uploaded an Instagram story of her, well, not singing, but reacting to the famous line. A very obvious and petty jab at Taylor. In May of 2017, as Katy was gearing up to release her 5th album overall and her 4th as Katy Perry, Witness, during an interview with Entertainment Weekly, she helped hype it up by teasing its 3rd single that she dubbed as a response to Bad Blood, Swish Swish, featuring Nicki Minaj. This song would drop on May 19, 2017, and its music video would drop 4 months later on August 24th, 2017. But before we continue, this is where we are musically. Starting off,
Yes, baby, now we got bad blood.
unlike the songs I've broken down before, this song is written in a very vague manner, so they're not exactly like super specific lines to dissect and say, oh, this is a shot at this, and etc. For example, the first verse in the solo version, the original, is very vague. She mentions feeling betrayed and that this relationship has fallen apart, saying that it's now been rusted. This could be Taylor saying that she felt betrayed when Katy took those background dancers from her, saying it ruined any chance of an amicable relationship that they had. And her second verse continues this, saying that she's been hurt by this betrayal and lets Katy know that there's no chance of retribution, basically telling her to fuck off. In the bridge, she reiterates that any kind of apology will do nothing to mend this now broken relationship and mend this great pain that she has caused her. Once again, this beef is about stealing dancers for a world tour, telling her that she is an uncaring and fake person, and then proceeding to say, if you live like that, you live with ghosts. And this may be a bit of a reach, but it could be a reference to Katy's own song of the same name. Kendrick's verses are similarly vague, but given what's transpired over the last 4 months, you can make the argument that some of these lines could be shots at Drake. As previously mentioned, Drake dropped 2 diss tracks before Family Matters, Push Ups and Taylor Made Freestyle. The reason why I said Taylor Made Freestyle was so infamous at the beginning of the video was because the first 2 verses use AI vocals of Tupac and Snoop Dogg, 2 of Kendrick's biggest idols, in a way to mock him. And then we get to the 3rd and final verse of the song, where Drake would claim that Kendrick owns any level of mainstream success he's had to Taylor Swift for appearing on the Bad Blood remix, and should always answer to Taylor, saying that he is indeed tailor-made. This could also be a dig at Kendrick due to the fact that he did re-record his Bad Blood verse for the Taylor's version re-release. He belittles Kendrick's talent and also implies that the reason why he was waiting to respond to Drake was because he has to wait for Taylor to drop the Tortured Poets Department, believing that Taylor's release would overshadow him. A fair worry to have, despite Drake saying himself he would watch out for a Taylor Swift release date, but whenever you say, nigga, whatever. Drake echoes the sentiment on both Push-Ups and Family Matters. On Push-Ups, he says, "Then we need a verse for the Swifties. Top say drop, you better drop and give 'em 50. Top being Kendrick's former label head and close friend. And on Family Matters saying, Top would make you do features for change, get on pop records and rap for the whites. Side tangent, by the way. Drake making fun of Kendrick for doing pop features to get better mainstream appeal back in the early 2010s and calling him a mainstream panderer is real rich coming from the dude whose music has declined so heavily that it's like at the level of mainstream pop trash. Yeah, but whatever you say, King BBL Drizzy. But on Kendrick's appearance on Bad Blood, his verses seem to hint at a former friend who doubted him and did him dirty. Like I said, after the Control verse in 2013, Drake and Kendrick started silently beefing. In an interview with hip-hop journalist Elliot Wilson, released a month after Control came out, and the same day that Nothing Was the Same came out, Drake called the song forgettable, and would continue sending subliminals Kendrick's way over the next decade, subtly hinting that any form of friendship or acquaintanceship was axed. When the Bad Blood remix came out, 2 months prior, he dropped To Bev a Butterfly, a project highly regarded as one of the greatest albums of all time. Kendrick was getting a lot of love from critics and fans, and 2015 to 2018 would go on to be some of the best times of his career. So in my eyes, it's a fair argument to make that some of this could be aimed at Drake, telling Drake that even though he counted him out, haha, funny reference, he kept to his word, and he will always be better than him. But yeah, to make a long story short, Bad Blood was the first song to come of this beef, and it already put Katy in a shitty place. What made this song such an immediate L for Katy is the fact that even though the song is directed at her, it's written broadly, like most pop music. For the average listener, it's just a song about a relationship gone sour. It could be a former romantic relationship, friendship, familial relationship, whatever the case may be. It's immediately relatable to most people, thus making the song even bigger. Not to say that a song that is directly aimed at somebody can't be a hit. I mean, look at the songs we discussed at the top of this video. But obviously, this helped the song gain its popularity. And what really put the nail in the coffin here for Katy was the music video for sure. Having this big hashtag millennial girl boss kind of music video with so many well-known female celebrities in attendance makes it feel like they're all taking a side in this argument. And having the Kardashians pre-famous drama, Selena Gomez and Zendaya and more all on your side obviously makes Katy look bad. But now
Swish, swish, bish. Another one in the basket.
you get Swish Swish, Katy's response. A song with many sports metaphors, as you can imagine. And what do we get after 3 years of musical silence? A rare miss. Now, Katy starts off her first verse saying that she is a tiger who needs no sleep, an obvious reference to her hit song Roar. She then says that she doesn't need opinions from a shellfish or a sheep, referencing the tweet from earlier, warning Taylor not to come for her. Ooh. Big Katy got shooters now. After becoming cool with Chief Keef, she bringing old block to Cali. She's got shooters on speed dial. In Katy's second verse, he says that Taylor is indeed washed up, and that karma will come to her for lying on her name. And if you learned anything within this past year, it's truly that karma's a bitch. In the pre-chorus, she reiterates to both Taylor and her haters that she's here to stay and to keep her name out of their mouth. I can never say that phrase and not think of the fucking Will Smith incident. With the chorus, of course, exclaiming, "Swish, swish, bish, another one in the basket." And this is why I brought up the Famous Controversy earlier in the video. I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that the usage of the word bitch or bish was very intentional. Taylor was upset at Kanye for using that word against her and claiming that he is responsible for her success. So Katy using that word is obviously a very petty way of doubling down on her distaste for Taylor. But here's the thing. And I say this with no bias towards either of them. This song was a lot weaker compared to Bad Blood. Bad Blood is written and comes across as this triumphant song about letting go of a bad relationship. And Swish Swish is a kind of lower effort, fuck the haters kind of anthem. Oops. Not to say songs like that can't be good, but still. And I didn't talk about Nicki's verse because it has not much relevance to this video in particular, but she did mention how she was also in her own beefs at the time, most notably with rapper Remy Ma, who had released a diss against Nicki earlier that year. And Nicki carried the song, without question. I think we can all agree on that. But even with that feature, the song fell short. And I'm not the only one who thought so. Outside of vitriolic Swifties, this song already divided people at release. And the music video didn't exactly help. On August 25th, she released a music video for Swish Swish that featured celebrity cameos from people like Terry Crews, Rob Gronkowski, Karl Anthony Towns, Gaten Matarazzo, and more. And from what it looks like, the video director, Dave Meyers, wanted to make fun of the Bad Blood music video in a way. With the Bad Blood video featuring all of these A-list cameos from all of these very major female celebrities, with them all being presented as super cool and badass, Katy's video went in the exact opposite direction, with Katy on a basketball team of odd people, for lack of better term, horrifically losing a game, until Nicki does a halftime show that motivates them to win. It came off as a bit overly absurd. During that scene where she trips and falls and does the shooting stars meme, that was basically dead by the time that they had got to it. Yeah, it kind of set it over the edge for me. And if the like to dislike ratio is anything to go by, then yeah, this song is divisive. That's for sure. What made Swish Swish an even bigger L for Katy was the fact that the exact same day the music video dropped, Taylor dropped the lead single to her final album under Big Machine Records, Reputation, with her almost amazingly timed response to Katy.
Oh, look what you made me do. Look what you made me do.
She followed that up by dropping the video 3 days later after its debut at the 2017 VMAs, breaking the record for the most views in 24 hours at the time, with a whopping 43.2 million views on its first day. And that shit was monumental. Now, Look What You Made Me Do is a bit more focused on Kanye and Kim because, like I said earlier, the whole controversy and fallout surrounding the Famous line kind of made her hide a bit. But obviously, the song throws shots at Katy as well. One of the first lines in the songs is, "I don't like your tilted stage." A very obvious reference to Ye, as during the St. Pablo tour, almost all of his performances were on a tilted stage. Again, there are a bunch more concealed jabs like that at Kanye, but again, for the sake of this video, we're gonna mostly ignore them. In that same verse, she says she doesn't like your perfect crime. Taylor says that she doesn't like how both Kim, Kanye, and Katy painted Taylor as a liar and a snake in their respective feuds. This continues in the second verse, where she says, "The world moves on, another day, another drama, but not for me. All I think about is karma. And the world moves on, but one thing's for sure, maybe I got mine, but you'll all get yours." Here, Taylor tells Kim, Kanye, and Katy that even if people try to move past this controversy, she'll always remember how they did her dirty, and that karma will come for them. A most definite reference to Swish Swish, as karma was a motif in that song as well. And in the pre-chorus, she says that she got smarter and rose from the dead, telling her detractors that despite her over year-long hiatus, she's back. Harder, better, faster, stronger. Sorry, couldn't pass up the opportunity to not make that pun. And will always be able to get back on her feet. She says that she has a list of their names, and theirs are written in red, underlined. Once again, another Mean Girls reference, and a definite shot at Katy. And then the chorus comes in. Now, as you can see, there's not much lyrically to dissect here. But this song, when paired with the music video, sends out a very clear message. According to Taylor, she wanted to show people how ridiculous it would look if she acted the way people said she did. And by embracing the absurdity of these claims, she makes them lose their power. And despite this song's divisive reception at release, many people consider this to be her bold comeback to music after her break and spawned the fan favorite era of her career. As I said in the FML video, Kanye will remain virtually unscathed even after the worst of controversies, which isn't a good thing. I complained about that at length in that video. The year after Reputation dropped, Ye released the self-titled project Ye and Kids See Ghosts, two fantastic albums, and would go on to have a great summer, all until he shared the biggest lie in music history. Once again, that'll never stop hurting. But for Katy, on the other hand, this would be the biggest and final L handed to her in this battle. And there are a lot of things already working against her. The Witness album from earlier that year was already given a very mixed reception. Her response to Taylor wasn't as good or didn't become as big of a cultural moment as Bad Blood or Look What You Made Me Do became, especially because Taylor overshadowed her. And Taylor also had a bit of a sympathy factor going. During her Grammy speech in 2016 and her statement involving the Famous line, she denounced these misogynistic statements made towards her and was genuinely seen as a feminist. I'll explain in the air quotes in a second. And same as Katy, she would call herself a feminist, but would constantly throw little cheap shots at Taylor. And that clip of her at the St. Pablo tour was definitely kind of the nail in the coffin. And once more, I say this in the FML video, Taylor Swift is not exactly Feminist of the Year herself, as she has a history of associating with not the best kind of men and is the literal poster child for white feminism, a kind of feminism where white women seem to focus on their own issues without addressing the existence of other forms of oppression that women and femme-presenting people of color have to face. And people accuse Taylor of using feminism as an excuse for people to not criticize her actions. Once more, if you want to hear more about this topic better than I really could, there are a plethora of really good videos on this topic that I will leave in the video description if you are interested. But once more, me first. I'm more important. But yeah, in this specific fight, Taylor made Katy look bad and took the largest L out of the two of them. Now, fortunately, this beef does have a happy ending. In the same month Swish Swish dropped, Katy went on carpool karaoke with one of the most hated British people of all time, even rivaling Margaret Thatcher, James Corden, and explained her side of the story, saying that she would be willing to drop the beef one day. And it did take a while, but a year after that interview, Taylor would kick off her Reputation tour. And following her first performance, she would go into her dressing room and see that Katy had left her an olive branch, like a literal olive branch, and I thought I was the one who enjoyed puns too much, and a handwritten apology. Taylor saying that it meant a lot to her, making it clear to everyone that they were cool again. Katy would even make a cameo appearance in the music video for Taylor's You Need to Calm Down off of her 2019 album Lover, her first release after leaving Big Machine Records. They can be seen giving each other a hug in fast food costumes. As of recording, I haven't listened to the song, so I really don't know the context for that, but okay. To this day, they are still friends and have completely moved past this. But the thing is, even though the beef has been settled, you can still see how this has affected Katy's music and public perception moving forward. Even though they are cool now, when researching for this video, coming across that video of Katy at the St. Pablo tour, all of the top comments are very angry Swifties, just saying, like, calling her like the stupid snake bitch and whatever. It's like, guys, this is over dancers. Remember that? Dancers for a tour. She didn't kill Taylor's family in cold blood. Like, oh my God, it's not that deep. I swear to God, it's not that deep. And of course, calling her a flop. And the unfortunate thing is, they're kind of right. Doing this video has made me, in general, look back on 2010s pop music, and it's made me realize that like that music can only really exist during that time. Of course, nostalgia plays a heavy factor into things like this, but even looking at albums like unironically, 1989, it's a good album, but if she released it today, it just wouldn't hit the same. I feel like most of us could agree on that, right? That's part of the reason why an album like Witness didn't do as well as Teenage Dream or Prism. That style of music had become played out in the mid-2010s. And it doesn't seem like Katy's learned from that mistake. Her latest song, Woman's World, is a textbook example of a very dated sound. One of the top comments says it best. She's stuck in 2016. And on top of that, in general, the song is just ass. I'm sorry. Now, obviously, with a song of that title and its subject matter, I'm not the target demographic for it, so you can ignore my opinions here. But once more, the comments summarize what I want to say. It feels like a satire or a parody of an actual female empowerment song. Both the super corny ass lyrics and the super goofy music video just make the song's message fall flat. And also, this is unrelated, but there's this random shot towards the beginning where like Katy like pushes her boobs together. I can't show it obviously because the video will get demonetized, but it's like Was that necessary? What is that? What was the... Yeah, so there are a couple things I left out when initially making this video. One of the other reasons why people aren't the biggest fans of Woman's World is because one of the producers is the aforementioned Dr. Luke. Remember the dude accused of essaying one of Katy's own contemporaries? Yeah, so as you can imagine, making a bad female empowerment song with an alleged essayist as one of the producers and writers, one of the 6 producers and writers, Jesus Christ, many women aren't exactly a fan of this. And also, this video was recorded initially like a little bit ago before Lifetimes came out, and honestly, it is leagues better than Woman's World, and I want to give it some level of praise, but then you look at the song credits. So with her music getting significantly lower in quality, her childish and petty response to her drama, and of course the fact that she's now hated by one of the most aggressive and vitriolic music fan bases in history, she has unfortunately entered what the gays would call her flop era. To blame it all on Taylor is a bit of a stretch, but this beef definitely helped. And that's what brings us back to the beginning. After learning way more about Taylor Swift and Katy Perry than I initially anticipated, I can safely say that their beef has proven my exact point. Taylor made 2 very big cultural moments when she released Bad Blood and Look What You Made Me Do. Those huge songs against Katy's, lackluster response and general pettiness obviously did not stand a chance, and proves that a really good diss track or 2 could permanently alter someone's career. And as entertaining as these last few months have been, I hope that some of the artists we've discussed today can take these L's and turn them into W's in the future. My favorite part of the Kendrick and Drake beef wasn't just the spectacle of it all, even though it definitely was entertaining. It was the fact that we were getting new and consistently good music from both of them. Kendrick almost always delivers, and it was great to hear him come back after somewhat of a 2-year hiatus after Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And with Drake, as I've said before, I've complained many a time about how his quality of music has tapered off a lot since 2015. And this beef forced him to really sharpen his penmanship. And even though he lost, we still got 2 great tracks out of it. And I hope he can maintain this level of quality in the future. But I think that's going to wrap it up for me, guys. Thank you all so much for the support on No One Wants to Fall Out of Heaven. That was very much a passion project. And in the back of my head, I was kind of worried. I was just like, is anyone really going to want to watch this? Like, is this a waste of time? And all of the positive comments, I've gotten a lot of heartwarming DMs and stuff saying that the video, you relate to the videos, or it helped someone deal with some issues, things like that. I'm incredibly grateful for. And also the fact that we hit 1,000 subscribers kind of reaffirmed it for me that, yeah, this was a good decision. But yeah, thank you guys again for your continued support. I'm doing my best to try and push a bit more of these more organic videos as much as possible, because I really do want to. I've been missing just talking about random shit. So with that, again, thanks again so much for the support, and I'll see you in the next video.
Slip off your dress, babe, so I can see. Slip off your dress, babe, so I can see.